This episode of Profiles in Risk is brought to you by InsurTech Connect Las Vegas. The legendary ITC is coming back to Vegas October 14 to 16 at the Mandalay Bay Casino. ITC is the largest InsurTech conference in the world by a long shot and the absolute cannot miss event of the year. We never miss it, neither should you. Register today using our discount code INSNerd200. Again, that's INSNerd200 and see you in Vegas, baby. And when you're there, look for me. I'm the guy with the red top hat and ask me for a magic trick. Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your overly caffeinated host, Tony Cañas, and today I am properly caffeinated because I am visiting my native Costa Rica. I think this is the fourth episode I'm recording during this visit, so drinking fresh Costa Rican coffee, best coffee in the world, grown just a couple kilometers away from here. And today I have with me David Serna Perez, my Colombian friend, New York-based Colombian friend with 10 years of machine learning experience. So other than the fact that you're dying of envy watching me drink completely fresh Costa Rican coffee, how are you doing today?
Look, this morning I just woke up to the smell of Colombian coffee. My 6-year-old started doing this thing where she's like, you know what? I'm gonna go wake up daddy with a nice coffee. And she climbs up all the way to the top, gets the cup, she does the whole thing, and it's one of the most amazing things. So we have many things in common, including amazing coffee. I love
Perfect,
Costa Rican
perfect.
coffee too.
I do have to agree that Colombian is fantastic. The second best coffee in the world after Costa Rican. Uh, no, Costa Rican is hard to find in the U.S. I mean, you can buy it on Amazon, but it's hard to like at a coffee shop. You're unlikely to find Costa Rican. So the next thing I look for is Colombian. And Colombian is significantly easier to find at like a fancy coffee shop. So yes, I definitely love myself some Colombian. Second best coffee in the world for sure. Uh, so David or David, first of all, awesome. Thank you for coming on the show. So you've got 10 years of machine learning experience, uh, and you are so okay. You're an actual practitioner, right? I have a degree in management information systems, an MBA, and I'm an insurance nerd, and I've interviewed hundreds of insurtech founders. Profiles in Risk is episode 711 went live today. This is probably 745 that we're recording right now. And for the last year and a half, all anybody can talk about when they come on the podcast is AI. You're an actual practitioner. So that gives you an advantage. And today, for the listeners, we're not talking about a specific company. We are talking about kind of the future of conversational AI. So from my perspective, we have like I do realize AI is like 60 years old from when like computer scientists first started working on it. There's that famous uh, summer where a bunch of computer scientists got together and they were going to solve AI in a summer back in like, I don't know 1956 or something. And we've had several AI winters, right? Where we get excited, then it goes down. We get excited, it goes down. Then in like the 90s, and I might be wrong on the dates, we had expert systems, uh, and then Siri and that kind of Alexa, and then holy crap, what was it, 2021 or 2022, Chat GPT, and then it's poof, right, an explosive growth, and all of a sudden, the only thing anybody can talk about in the tech world is AI, right? And then the last, I don't know, year, agentic AI, which I'm just starting to get my head around agentic after interviewing like 80 people about agentic, and now conversational. So, holy crap, this is exhausting even for a nerd like me. I cannot even, and I have the advantage that I bring you guys on the podcast. We have the conversation, but I don't have to write you a check, right? I am not my listeners are buyers. and they have to eventually sign a contract, write a check, and commit to somebody or a set of somebody's for a POC or for some period of time of actually deploying this in their companies and explaining to the board, to their boss, and to the board if it doesn't work. How do we even start to think about this crazy
Yeah.
world we're living in?
So let me tell you a quick story.
Perfect.
Um, my mom, she came, we came to the US. She started picking up her English back in 2001, right? Made huge improvements. The least digital focused person, right? She has her own cleaning business, but she just doesn't use technology. And against even depositing online, she was against it. She would go to the bank, to the tailor, and do it. Like the insurance, I remember her taking me to.
My mom's a medical doctor in Costa Rica, specialist and she behaves the same way when it comes to technology, just about.
Yeah, so think about it. But fast forward to COVID. COVID hit a huge reset, both for our children, teenagers, and moms and grandmas and so on. And it shifted the way that people want to connect to brands. My mom is the biggest chat GPTer in town. Like she sends these highly sophisticated emails in English. And I'm like, I know this is ChatGPT, but she does it in Spanish. It translates for her. That's a way she communicates. Now she does the QR codes. Now she does the online deposit. She's like, why would I waste my time going to the bank? Or like, the insurance policies that she has. She's like, why would I go, in person? She's texting, she's using apps, she's downloading apps. So the thing is, consumers are changing the way they want to communicate with brands. And that's where we have to start because at the end of the day, what are we trying to do is as insurance industry, we're trying to transform the way we bring insurance to our policyholder, whether it's a person or a business. And you have so many layers to it because you have life, right? It's completely different cadence of what you need from life insurance. You have a new baby. Well, how do you update that systematically? Well, you're gonna about to get a new car. Well, how about an upgrade to that policy? How do you do that conversationally through different mediums? And that's the first question that I ask myself is, well, what do people want from brands? Whether it's retail, financial services, healthcare, they want to feel engaged and inspired. If you notice, I love what the Jeep Wrangler, I bought myself a Wrangler because people just wave at you. People just wave at you and creating this community. When you look at what big retailers are doing now, they have coffee shops. They're connecting to community. And so how do we bring that into the insurance industry? And that's the first area that I really focus on. And how do you do it so that you're not using AI for AI's sake, but you're doing it to transform the way you're connecting to the policyholder?
Okay. I do agree that people are expecting to connect differently. And it's really interesting. For the last 10, 15 years, we had been telling carriers, your customer service is being compared not to other carriers. It's being compared to Disney. It's being compared to Amazon when it works. It's being compared to the best in class. Uh, and if you can't live up to that, then we look awful to the final customer. Uh, Now we have expectations of AI. At the same time, we still have serious technical debt, even though we have invested significantly over the last 10 years. And hopefully we've moved our agency management system to a modern system. We've moved our policy management system to a modern system, hopefully, or to a semi-modern system, as opposed to our old home-built ones in COBOL that we were running 10 years ago. But we still have technical debt, so it is so hard to, like, we can't keep applying more makeup on the pig, right? AI makeup on the pig, it doesn't quite work. So how do we balance it? How do we balance those expectations from how the client wants to interact with us, with the fact that we're still working through those technical through those system updates in the background?
That's a great question. I think it's a twofold. And so if we break that up into two parts, we're looking at the systems, whether you're replacing them or augmenting them. And then you have on the other side AI, and where do you actually use AI? Where do you feel comfortable using AI? And so there's with the CTOs, chief data scientists, AI teams that I've been working with from machine learning now all the way to Gen AI. There's three buckets. Let's break down those three buckets. You're trying to build out co-pilots for every line of business, right? You have right now your developers using Gen AI. You have internal teams trying to bring AI to different finance or accounting or HR. Then you have the core technologies that you have in your tech stack, and they provide their own AI. And then you have on the right side, the third bucket is the shot in the to the moon AI that you're trying to build maybe your own machine learning models or trying to orchestrate between multiple models to solve a very, very particular problem. And so today, with the technical debt where you are, the first thing is, well, what is the disruption that this is going to bring to my business? So the first thing that has to be true is it can't be a rip and replace. It's impossible today to rip and replace where you are. You may have your own workbench. You may have your own policy system. You may have your own CRM built from scratch. You can't tell me, oh, now I have to go buy this other CRM and then give up all those controls. So what is the modern customer experience demands? Let's go through those first. It's four of them. Connected, personalized experiences across every touch point. What does that mean? Right? Connected, personalized experiences. You don't have to repeat yourself. It's contextual. It actually knows the last conversation you had. Second, an integrated CX ecosystem, meaning you're not ripping and replacing, you're not adding more systems of record, you're adding systems of action. And that's what Gen AI does. When you think about machine learning models, you can have a machine learning model, but you need still people to activate them. Gen AI allows us to actually bring into action within our ecosystem that system of action. Looking at all the different channels that you can offer, whether it's SMS, web. I mean, my mom is now using QR codes. My mom is now using applications. Well, how will that evolve over time with your consumers, with your policyholders? And how can you integrate to existing bots? Maybe you already have third-party bots. Why wouldn't you just bring those in to be able to continue? Okay. And then you have customer experience platforms that evolve from systems of record to systems of action intelligence. And we already touched on that. So it could be internally too. You can start internally by using summarization, using as well rewriting for your agents or your underwriters or claims. And then you have AI systems that deliver real measurable impact. Where does that start? Think about it. We always go and say, how's the data? Well, how many conversations are you having a year? Is it 1 million, 2 million, 3 million? Well, do you have the analytics behind it to then say, well, how am I going to shift that based on what I'm hearing?
That piece is super important. So yes, any sizable insurance company has probably millions of hours of recorded conversations. All right. Every time you've ever heard this call might be recorded for training purposes. Historically, what that has meant on the back end is maybe we pull 2 calls per call center rep to audit and to grade those people. And then if there's a complaint, then we go and pull the tape, so to or the file for that particular call for compliance purposes kind of thing. But that's it. That's unstructured data that we really haven't used for anything. If we now have the compute and the ability to grab all of that audio, and I actually haven't talked to any carrier that's doing this. If any carrier out there is doing this and would love to come on the podcast to talk about it, we'd love to hear how it's working out for you. But basically, just logically, it seems to me that if we get our ducks in a row, we now have the ability to grab all of that audio and actually learn and improve the way that we do everything.
And when you think about it, it's the customer 360, it's segmentation. Are we actually listening, right? Like we have the opportunity to listen twice. And instead of auditing randomized conversations, what if you audit them, all of them, and at scale? And that's where the game
Now,
changing comes because
I
go ahead.
I do have to say, from the human, from the management, from the leadership perspective, from the talent perspective, as a recruiter and as a career advisor, this could be used. It just hit me. It could be used really wrong. So, for example, if you take a compliance heavy approach and not like legal compliance, but like if you could easily use this technology to torture your call center reps for any deviation from the script, uh, and take away their ability to be human on the call, which would be really, really bad, both for your retention and for clients actually getting what they need. So don't make that mistake.
And that's a clear warning, Tony, that is critical with golden standard contact centers that are being built with the culture, how they carry themselves, and how they're trying to align as a company what they're trying to accomplish to the policyholders and then the agents themselves. And actually, the beauty of Gen AI
Uh-huh.
when analyzing all these calls is sentiment. Now you can actually create AI agents that go and each of those AI agents looks for intent, looks for delivery of the message, looks for objection handling, looks for red flags that need to be routed to another person for escalation. And so, how do we use that from a QA? There's people dedicated to listening to these calls, reading through the messages that are being sent on SMS. How do you arm them with at the end of the day is they need the data insights to make better decisions. But instead of doing it one or two calls per rep, you do it every single one of them so that you can make better decisions moving forward.
Golden standard contact centers. I had not heard that. Is that a Davidism, or is that
No.
a
So in the last year, I've been blessed to go to some amazing contact centers. It starts from the top. It's the culture that's being driven, all the way down to the music that's being played. If you're SMS and you're not on voice, right? The music, the ambiance, because they're coming in to serve, they're coming in to solve these inquiries. So literally, I've seen it goes all the way down to how do they want to develop? Who do they want to serve? Do they want to be on voice? Do they want to be on SMS because that's where they feel more comfortable? Do they want to take the higher level inquiries that are voice that you still can't automate? And that becomes critical. And then you see, the development as well, like in any career, right? There's development, career development. How do you arm these agents? Because if you look at the industry standard today, or if you look at the numbers, there's a 50 to 60% attrition rate in agents, right? In contact center agents. So how do you go? And when I say golden standard, it's all in the numbers. We're working with companies that have 95, 98% retainment.
holy at a call center level?
Yes.
Any of those in insurance?
So those that I'm talking about are it's an actual law firm. that I recently went to visit, but definitely it's amazing to see how they thrive through the culture. And so, which leads to the next point, which is, well, if we actually go down to the data, where in the industry are we actually serving our customers? What are the actual intake questions? And here's where the question, should I even use AI? But when we look at it, here's the top 40% of inquiries that come in. And you'll ask any insurance company, and they'll be like, yep, that's 40% of them. Modify policy, payments, claims, benefits, cancel policies, and coverage. Okay. So the first thing that we have to do, if that's 40% of the volume of inquiries, then we have to listen and say, okay, well, what are they saying? Do they prefer going to a text? Can eventually this be fully automated? Can we use AI for intent, which would be for internal purposes, for summarization of those policy modifications? For example, we spoke about it briefly, but if you're a life insurance and you have a baby or you change, there's going to be change in that policy. If you're adding a car, if you're buying a house, all these changes, do we have to have a somebody on the phone, or can we start in a augmented, chatbot that's using Gen AI that knows you, that can look up into the system of record of choice and actually have that intelligent conversation. And if needed, pass that conversation on to an agent or an underwriter or claims. And then from a claims perspective, because it's about 10%, let's face it, if somebody's putting a claim, they're in distress, right? They want something to be done quickly. And so, how do you take them through that flow of, instead of taking an hour, maybe it takes 15 minutes, right? To get right to the point that you need to get to without that frustration of like, why can't I understand these systems? Why can't I understand your process? And it's, instead of revolving the claims around the process, is the claims around how we communicate and connect to that policyholder so that they can go, if it's on WhatsApp, SMS, if it's on chat, if it wherever channel they want to go to, they should be able to be serviced immediately.
You talked about the customer expectations, but we haven't like listed them out or really dug into it. So yeah, what are the customers expecting nowadays that
Okay, so
were deployed in many industries?
So, I mean, if we go to some of the leading industries that have been able to do it in less regulated, industries, you look at retail, right? It's very conversational. It's very quick. But the thing is, the technology is there already today. Finding the right partner to go and actually bring what the technology exists today. It's not like you have to go and invent it. The technology exists today to transform conversations, right? And be able to give them asynchronous. So they expect what? They expect that when you reach out, they know who you are. They expect that in that same conversation, if they need to make a payment, they don't have to go to a different portal. What do they suggest? That you're not getting an email to send a survey. That the survey, it's all within the one experience. Because those surveys have maybe a 5%, 10% completion rate. But if it was within the same conversational
Lower.
experience,
Mhm.
then you increase that percentage. Or being able to send those images via text and it goes straight into the system that needs to go into the claim system via API. And so it's less. How do we make it stupid easy? It's like, how do we make it stupid easy for a policyholder to be able to get what they want? And for the more complex inquiries, how do we route them as fast as possible to the right person? And that's where you can use AI. You can use routing AI to get them to the right person in seconds rather than hours or waiting around.
There are few things more annoying than having to tell my story 3 times in the same call when they transfer me to the next level. That then having uh the recording while I'm on hold tell me to go to the website. Believe me, if I'm chatting with you, it's because I tried the website and it didn't work. Uh, and yeah, who the heck the only people that fill out the survey are people who are mad at you. Like, why else would they fill out the survey? Nobody's going to fill out the stupid survey. So yes, compare that. I'll give you a great example from my personal life. Delta does an amazing job on and I don't know how much AI is deployed in doing this, but it feels like there is. But as a frequent Delta flyer, when I call the medallion line, it immediately recognizes my phone number. Uh, Gives me the option of chatting with a human and what the wait is for that, or text messaging, or getting a call back if the wait is long, so I don't have to stay on the line waiting for the person. And the moment that a human answers, usually very, very quickly, right away they go, am I speaking with Tony Cañas? And if I'm in the middle of a trip, which I often am, which is the reason I'm calling, immediately go, so it looks like you just landed in wherever, or it looks like you are uh, waiting for your flight to wherever. How can I help you? Right? I don't have to tell my story 6 times. Uh, it is so much better. And how could that even be improved? Okay. For example, the system should notice that very often I am calling to get myself on the list for the uh, same day, whatever that's called. To I'm done with meetings for the day. I'm at the airport earlier than my flight, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to get home on an earlier flight. So you should the system should the AI should be smart enough to let the rep know, like, hey, very often this guy is calling to ask to be put on the same day standby list. Uh, if he's calling on a day when he's flying back home later today, chances are, and they can literally answer the phone with, are you looking to, should I, are you already at the airport and looking to be put on the standby list for the next flight to Atlanta, kind of thing, right? Yeah, the more that okay, I will never forget uh my first trip to Columbus, Ohio, a city that I now have a lot of history with. I was there for an interview with Nationwide. I was already a Nationwider. I was looking to move from the Des Moines office to Columbus office, and interviews tomorrow morning. I'm already there. It's 4 p.m. I have time. I've never been to Columbus before. I pull out my phone. This is 2013, so it's been a while. I pull out my phone, open Google, and I type things, and it completes my sentence. Things to do in Columbus, Ohio. And it was a mind-blowing experience back then in 2013. Um, the more that you can read my mind like that, because you've got, right? I mean, Google.
Making it easy, right? Making it stupid easy. You start things and boom.
Stupid easy. Exactly. If I am if I own a business with a fleet, and 95% of the time when I'm calling my insurance agent or company, it's to change a driver on my fleet. Uh, you should probably know that, and you should probably make me feel like you know me by detecting that and saying, are you calling to change the driver, right? Or if I'm a contractor and I'm constantly calling for certificates of insurance, you should probably answer with, thank you for calling, are you looking for a certificate of insurance? Right? And we have the technology now.
Yes. And actually, I want to paint a
Yeah,
picture of the future
perfect.
where it's a connected experience across all the brands that you will touch in one iteration. What does that mean, right? Let's stick to the vacations or travel. What brands do you typically talk to? Well, first you got to prep before you go, so you got to take care of stuff at home probably. You have to, maybe you have a dog, you have a cat. Maybe you need a dog sitter. Maybe you need a car rental. Maybe you need an international insurance because you're going to Costa Rica. Maybe you need um, a restaurant reservation. And you keep going on and on and on and all the things that you could potentially use. And imagine if all of that was a fully integrated experience. So rather than a single, because you're having all these single experiences across different industries, different brands with different levels of expectation on where conversational AI should be. And it's a fragmented experience. It's in some cases, if you have to rate it, one is 5 star, the other one's 2 star, the other one's 3 star. But who are you going to be looking for now? You're going to look for those 5 star experiences, right? You mentioned Delta.
Hmm.
You're going to keep looking for them because they make it too easy. You look at Tiffany, you look at Burberry, they make it too easy. My wife just loves those brands, but uh, um, so as we continue, how can we actually bring a connected and bringing back to an inspiring experience? Because how do you maintain your policyholders? How do you maintain your customers? Is they need to feel connected to that brand, right? As humans, we have an emotional attachment to everything. And so how do you do that? It's by feeling inspired with a brand. I mean, I'm a huge FC Barcelona fan. Like the first time I went, it was just insane. It was amazing. And actually, FC Barcelona doesn't have a problem with selling tickets. They have so many fans that they don't have to worry about selling tickets. They focus on the experience that you have while you're there, right? So that becomes critical. It's how do we shape those experiences? Now, let's be honest. Well, you need the right integrations. You need to be able to have those systems that can via API connect. You need the right analytics platform that can connect to your conversational experience. You need to be able to bring, if you already have some of those bots available, you need to be able to bring e-commerce at a different, in a different manner because some people want to do it in SMS, some people want to do it in WhatsApp, some people want to go on the web. They want to be able to see those images and be like, oh, actually, do you want me to remind you in 30 days when you're ready to purchase? And it automatically comes and reminds you, right? Those are proactive messages.
Generationally, since I love speaking about generations, uh, I can tell you that with millennials and Gen Zers, brand connections, how do I put it? Brand loyalty is not built out of expensive advertising. It's built out of how did you make me feel when I actually used you, right? How did you make me feel when I walked into the Apple store to buy that iPhone? How did you make me feel when I walked into Disney World? How did you make me feel when something went wrong and I called to get it fixed? Uh, and this new technology empowers us to gives us superpowers to we earlier you talked about you didn't use the word mass customization, but you talked about the concept of every person that talks to the company feeling like we know them. Uh, and done right, this gives us superpowers to customize the every conversation we have with a client uh, to who they are and what their needs are.
And and that's the power. That's the power of the loyalty. And we see that role, right? In insurance. We see that role in financial services, retail. Loyalty is key. And so it's how do we make them feel and do during those hard times, how do we make them feel, feel heard? People want to feel heard. Often you just need to listen to them, right? And
What?
with empathy.
Okay, so the technology is there. There's a million vendors that are trying to sell us AI technology. What are the challenges in actually going from this looks cool on Tony's podcast or this looks cool at ITC to actually this actually is delivering for me?
So you have to start small. That's the first thing. And it starts with the data. And that's why I started talking about if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So let's say today you barely have SMS or web messaging. Well, start by auditing. Oh, this is Florence. Florence, diga hola.
Hola.
Hola,
This
mucho
is
gusto.
Tony está en Costa Rica. I'm on a podcast. Do you know what a podcast is?
Mm-mm.
Not yet. Well, you're on your first podcast, honey.
Basically a radio show for nerds of a particular thing, in this case, insurance and technology.
Yeah, you can start it on your favorite topics one day, okay? Can I have 15 minutes and I'll be right there? Okay.
That's fabulous.
So she wants me to do the water slide. So definitely we're gonna get the water slides. But where do we start, right? We analyze the data, we look at the conversations, we understand the intent, we see where we can get started. Well, what if this tweak or this improvement in this one set of conversations that your policyholders are having, what if you start building a workflow around that? What does that conversation, how can you transform that one workflow, that one conversation? And then once you start building that, you don't even need to use AI first. You start by looking at it from the data perspective. You start building out how to get them there quicker. And then you start bringing AI. You start bringing AI for intent, for context. Then you start bringing where how many of these can I automate? Once you have built 5, 10 of these, where can I actually start automating end to end? And it always starts at the data, whether it's machine learning or Gen AI, right? It starts at the data because how are you going to build your knowledge bases? And they're going to have to feed off of your knowledge bases in order for it to be leveraging your terminology, to be leveraging the way you want it to communicate. And so it's literally that simple from a starting with data and finding the right partner that has done it over and over again and that can get you from beginning to end. Because the other thing is the external factors that are pushing against you. The board is pushing. What is your Gen AI strategy? You build a frequent ask question bot and you're like, oh, I built it. But how much value is that really bringing? Are you actually going after the 40% of inquiries, or you're just touching on 3 to 5% of the inquiries with that frequent ask question? And of course, that's a good one if you want to start testing. That's a good one because you don't even have to go through IT approval because you're looking at all the publicly facing documentation and creating a frequent ask questions that somebody can engage. So it's good from a pilot perspective to show, hey, we're getting some progress. But how do you get some really big wins? Is starting with the data, understanding what are the top inquiries, looking at that inquiry and saying, how do we redefine that conversation? And the thing is, what you will find is just because it was the highest in voice doesn't mean it's going to be the highest in messaging. And that's where you audit. Once you launch, you're like, oh, maybe people don't want to have this one inquiry via messaging.
Bro.
Maybe they want to keep it in voice. And that's where you start that discovery. And that becomes key. Now, from the other thing is being able to bring your own large language model. As we talked about the 3 segments, right? That's what we started with. If you can bring your own large language model, it's key. You end up controlling. You can scale it, you have it on your own side, or what I mean, bring your own large language model, it means you have the control of it. You can use, any of the large language models out there. But if you can bring it and you use your conversational AI platform and you augment it with Gen AI, that's when you're really going to get some game-breaking outcomes. And where are the outcomes is, well, think about revenue generation. Imagine if it's tagging and flagging. By the way, these are from the million conversations, 20% of them, you can actually send proactive messages for upsells. Then on the efficiency front, you have 100, 200, 1,000 agents. Well, imagine everyone's putting all this data, right? And putting all this data in manually. What if it was already integrated with all your systems and now, right, you're shaving off an hour of time by each agent inputting data, and then all of a sudden that's all being audited for quality with Gen AI. And that's where the full circle comes.
If we can remove 90% of the data entry, if we can remove the jumping around 16 different systems, right there, your frontline employee engagement just jumped off the charts. And right there, that causes your customer service to jump off the charts.
Absolutely. What's exciting for me, why I went to conversational AI, right? Because I could have gone to a large language model company. I could have gone to CDP. I'm a people person. And for me, conversational AI is where it's the lowest hanging fruit for Gen AI. Why? You're transforming the way you're connecting to the front line, right? The front line, it's the policyholders. It's who a business revolves around. And there's a statement that I want to make is putting the policyholder at the center of your business. And it's transforming the way you're connecting with them with an improved engagement and that you can create an inspiring interaction every single time.
All right, all right. David, before we let you go slip and slide in with your daughter, uh, and any predictions? We're recording in the middle of 2025. What might the AI slash technology landscape when it comes to insurance? What might it look like? Let's say 2028.
Yeah, I mean, we can go as far as VR sets where you're having a free consultation and you're looking at your whole life from different spectrums, all different pillars of your life, everything that has to do with insurance, right? Maybe you have multiple properties, maybe you need an umbrella insurance, and these things are evolving and changing as you grow, as you mature. And imagine you're having these consultations, you're looking at different options. You're looking at how do I communicate with them? How does it simplify this from agentic AI and having, right, these agentic AI actually go on your behalf, maybe as a consumer too, to get a lot of this information on your behalf. And eventually, right, you're going to see AI talking to AI, and consumers most likely at some point will have AI working on their behalf to go and enable them to look at all these variables. Because let's be honest, the policyholder does not want to spend the time that it takes to properly educate themselves on everything that they need to know to make the best possible decision at every stage of their lives, right? They just want to go set, forget until they have to go and iterate. But what if that becomes more of a conversation? What if that starts being more of a consultation, right? And that's where the future, at least where I want it to be, and where I aspire that as we continue to build these connections with these amazing brands, that you end up building that loyalty because every conversation is inspiring. Like I'm growing, right? You saw my daughter come in. We're going to go slip and slide, right? Well, what happens if she goes into college? What does that look like? It's a conversation that we're having to see where I should be in the future.
So I'm imagining your ChatGPT or whatever your preferred flavor is. Mine is ChatGPT, and her name is Samantha. So I'm imagining your version of Samantha going, "Good morning, David." I don't remember her name.
Lawrence,
What, it, your daughter's name? Uh,
Lawrence,
Lawrence. Okay. Uh, Morning, David. Lawrence is 6 months away from driving, uh, or 3 months away from driving. Would you like me to shop your insurance to
Yeah,
see?
because she wants an RV. She made me sign a document. She already negotiated. She's like, I need an RV because I'm gonna travel everywhere in the US and I'll park it at the house. So it's like, maybe they know that already. And it's like, hey, we got you the best policy for Florence to go in her car and her RV.
Perfect. The your AI talking to the carrier and agency AIs. So you're like, yes, go ahead and shop that. Remember that she wants an RV. Uh, 92 seconds later, ChatGPT comes back and basically goes like, okay, that was a tough negotiation. But here are the three options that I think make the most sense for you. Uh,
A- Absolutely. Make it
without
easy.
yes,
Making it easy.
without you having spent all that time figuring that out. Uh, it yeah, no, it makes perfect. And by the way, this should not be read as I think the agent's going away. It most definitely isn't. At least, especially not in commercial lines, and probably some level of personal line, like middle market personal lines. Once you have a home, uh, you probably want a human. And same story with commercial lines.
So that's where I want to make sure I'm clear. It's the human touch that makes the biggest difference. And I call it tango. How does the AI or the bot with the agent tango to have that
Eh,
conversation with you?
hold on. Not to get too far in the weeds. That's very Argentinian of you. Shouldn't you call it cumbia? Or
Well, the thing is, my years in college traveling across Latin America got me some tango in me.
oh, okay. Perfect. Awesome. David, a real pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you for your time. Yes, super interesting conversation. It is very, very nice to chat with an actual practitioner about the overall environment that we're living in with Gen AI. You're welcome back on the podcast whenever. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. And just to the audience, look, if you're thinking about conversational AI transforming and engaging and inspiring your policyholders, consumers, just reach out on LinkedIn. Happy to set up some time and just go through it. And I'll be with my hat at the next conference with Tony. So make sure you pass by.
Awesome. Thank you.